is all.
Hi everyone, we have an amazing video today. So there are a lot of objects out there. The three branches of the military themselves are now having to classify them differently by using other terms like unidentified aerial phenomena. This is one of the rare moments where I've actually seen an object, right? Here's one crashing into the moon. We see some with the infrared camera. We see some on the moon. We're going to look at various types of UFOs that I've captured, whether it be debris, asteroids, meteors, or not. We'll really take a good look at them. A few of them, so we're going to scatter through a whole bunch of them. The Dave Dobbs object, which you've seen before from me here, but that I've never presented it as the Dave Dobbs object necessarily. You know, because sometimes I always say people will say he's trying to pass it off as the Dave Dobbs, but you let me know what you think, because I did go see thousands of images of people supposedly capturing it, and this is what they're showing. It's the same thing, like 95%, the same of most of the supposed Dave Dobbs objects that everyone's talking about. So this one, don't forget, it was not necessarily stationary, but it sure looked like it was not moving, and it wasn't visually for sure. Again, comets and objects that are far away, that are moving towards us, look like they're hardly moving, but at one point after 20 minutes, even 15 minutes, you do start to see it moving. This one did not. Stationary in the sky, and what I believe was actually maybe around Earth, maybe in lower Earth orbit. You know, who knows? We could be looking at this thing. It could be on the sun. We'd never have a clue. Distance, even today, with professional scientists, it's always a debate on how far or how close an object is, whether it be a star, whether it be a planet. That's why they classify them through different spectrums. As, for example, volcanoes, everything that has a brightness, even volcanoes, yes, stars, right, planets, they're classified by their brightness, and that gives us an ideal of their sizes, and then they do other things to find out the distances. So just wanted to share that once again, but to present it in this way as very similar to the Dave Dobbs object. And that's all thanks to you all, because you are the ones that mentioned it to me. Bruce, it looks just like the Dave Dobbs object. Triangle that we saw recently also. So right off the bat, these things are definitely not debris. This, if not a planet, a star, an asteroid, a meteor, a UFO, could also be considered UFOs. UFOs, I believe, would look like hidden shapes or blending in with nature. See the atmosphere going by those two objects out in space? That's proof that it's not the camera flaring. And don't forget, I'm using a polarized lens, obviously, to film the sun. Here you can see that object going by, and you can see the clouds and atmosphere going by both of those objects, thus proving quite simply that it's an object that's beside the sun. And again, that's the largest object I've ever gotten, and only once in my life, of course. If I was catching them every day, well, maybe there'd be a problem, right? Here's another shape which I've showed in the community if you want to go see the link of UFOs, like Hitler's UFO. It's exactly that shape. This is, I've heard it talked about in 213, but Mark Felton, I think is, if I'm not mistaken. You got to check out his channel. If you want to know about what happened during the World Wars, this guy has amazing footage. Always talks about the aircrafts. This object, when it came down from the sky, it's also considered an unidentified aerial phenomena, right? Or is it a craft? It didn't look solid, yet that object in the center, even though see-through, had a certain shape and form, which was bright red, like moving blood inside of an aquarium as it was moving left to right, is what I could see as this object came down from the sky. So of course they classify the UFOs now a whole spectrum of different characteristics. Well, it's normal. Look at this and look at the ones that I'm capturing on the moon, which we're going to go see on the moon, also other UFOs, and fire on the moon also occurring, which they say there's no fire on the moon. Look at the intensity of this This is a real object. It's in the sky in front of me. Whether they are here through other dimensions and it's only a light or an aura, I don't know. It's hard to understand, and I'm sure nobody will ever be able to probably prove it because this is always going to remain hidden. But look at the object. This one, an extreme favorite of mine. More unidentified aerial phenomena. Watch the UFO literally charge itself or flare up. Watch it. We'll slow it down here. You can see it actually better faster. There it is, and at one point, there. Right now, it's fully charged with something, and then we see this light. Don't forget I have an infrared camera. So, in theory, if this is an alien craft, it could be just studying the atmosphere, the magnetosphere, detecting what's in the atmosphere, doing tests. It could be secret projects of maybe people here, hopefully not China, that's over Canada and the States doing something to us to harm us. We can't help but think of those things. I can't help but think of those things, but watch it. Look at it. Watch it flare up. Literally, you can see that it's interacting with the sky. Boom. And then, all these different tests. Here we see it a little bit faster to finish off before we go on to the moon. Bit of variation in this video. Check it out. Not only have I seen lights leaving the surface of the moon, but I've seen structural objects, geometrical shapes. This, a towering object. One must understand the parallax, libration, and the reason why we see these objects lying down or raised up. We are two different planets, the moon and the earth. When one is taking an image or filming on another planet and they're both moving, we're going to have that optical illusion that objects are lying down. Take the sun into consideration with that too. What is this fire on the surface of the moon? Ask yourself that. On the moon, we have many different characteristics to those little lights that we see on the moon. This is going up over the moon, and that is the famous watermelon shadow that we see, that everyone talks about. But what are these objects that have fires behind them? They are all solid objects, shape hard to detect, whether square, oval, or geometrically shaped. We can see smokes and fires behind them, and they are in the atmosphere over top of the moon's surface, but really pressed up close to the moon. Most will say there's no beauty in what I'm showing. Well, it's research. It's not to be beautiful. Here's a UFO leaving the moon. So do you see how many examples I have? I see them on the surface, over the surface in the atmosphere, arriving, leaving the moon, around the outside of the moon, between Earth and the moon. These are objects lifting up. This one had some blue light that appeared, whether refraction or atmosphere or not. It's what we visually see. This one makes no sense. It's not on a straight trajectory, leaving smoke or pushing the smoke on the surface, going into craters, but changing directions and is really flopping around. This one lifting up off the surface. You see an object, you see a fire or smoke behind it. Again, human or not, we're not, here to find that out. We're here to look at the visual proof. Check this out. Then we have these lights on the surface. They lift up off of the surface, leaving lights on the surface, appearing further away, but what seemed to be appearing and disappearing and not necessarily traveling across like a plane would over the surface. Almost looks like it's jumping or teleporting from area to area. And again, this is what we can see visually. These are absolutely top secret. You can be sure of it. You can be sure some people can capture things that are absolutely top secret. Look at the lights in two places at the same time, and you'll see when the bottom light lifts up or disappears and the other one becomes brighter on top, and it will also show on the surface that that UFO is near the surface and brightening it up for us. all the proof we need to know and confirm, actually, that there is actually a being up there on the moon, even though we don't know if they're human or alien. Let's start off by the basics. Let's try not to name every device or object or craft that we see. Let's try more instead to decipher exactly what the possibilities are. We have a confirmation someone is on the moon. Watch this UFO light disappear. Watch the proof and watch the evidence. There's smoke left. The smoke slowly fading away. And where's the UFO? It's gone. Disappeared. Watch this one step across the moon once, twice, 3 times, and then disappears. It'll never be found under the hazes unless some type of technique is done, like I do, which is the simple basic technique of bringing down the exposure, showing the surface, and showing the lights interacting with the surface. It's so beautiful. Hackers are trying to destroy this channel, and they're taking the views down. Please continue to come back. Thank you to all anonymous contributions. Up in their belly party, they coming here so soon. Yeah, aliens up there on the moon. They may be even coming right here soon. Aliens are mining on the moon, yes they are up there. Doesn't matter 'cause disclosure's coming soon. Disclosure's coming soon.